What's going on, man? Let's go ahead and get into this topic of conversation, man. One thing that's been pissing me off is this Kevin Stefanski. Right here on Sports Talk HQ, we're going to share you the real story. Not just going to just give you my opinions on the situation, but we're going to share the whole story of what's going on and what's coming out of the horse's mouth, which is Coach Kevin Stefanski. What we're going to do here is break it down on why he feels that Shedeur Sanders does not deserve to get any of the first team reps. Shedeur Sanders is the QB2. Shedeur Sanders is the backup quarterback. If anything happens to Dillon Gabriel on this upcoming game that they're playing when they have to go down to Patriots, why wouldn't you want your backup quarterback to get some practice in with the first team? Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because he's selfish. It's because he doesn't like Shedeur. It's because he wants this narrative to believe that he believes Dillon Gabriel is still the franchise quarterback of this team. And it's bogus. It's bull. And we're going to expose Kevin Stefanski. He's been getting exposed since day one of the situation, how he has not made this a competition. He has clearly made favorites of Dillon Gabriel. He is favoritizing Dillon Gabriel by making sure that Dillon Gabriel gets all the reps, just like when he sat down Joe Flacco and sat Joe Flacco down on the bench during the game. He gave Dillon Gabriel was already getting first team reps. So he wants to make sure that Dillon Gabriel it gets all the brownie points, gets all the opportunities. Guess what? But he still looked like trash. Dillon Gabriel and your daddy, Kevin Stefanski. Let's go ahead and get into this topic of conversation, man. Let's go ahead and hear what this fool has to say.
Obviously well coached, ton of respect for their staff, and doing a great job on offense with Coach McDaniels. Young quarterbacks playing really, really well. Multiple weapons in the run and the pass game. Defensively, Coach Williams, I do want to mention, as you guys know, is on a leave of absence, so just want to make sure he knows that we're thinking of him. But that defense is really tough. Physical, really good front, excellent players in the back end, can do multiple things, very versatile. And then special teams wise, it's a huge challenge. Some really good returners, good core players. So it's one of these games where all three phases have to be on point. But with that, I'll take any questions.
How does May improve? Where is his biggest improvement come in your opinion?
Yeah, in a bunch of areas, honestly. He's accurate, big arm, very mobile, kind of checks all those boxes, and he's doing a good job of operating in that offense and then playing off schedule. He can scramble. He's very, very fast, so he's doing a lot of things well.
When you combine the deep throwing ability that he has and has shown with the ability to scramble, feels like that really stretches the field.
Yeah, it certainly does. It makes sure that you're good in the back end, obviously in coverage, and then you have to be great in your rush lanes as well because he's a threat to throw it. He's a threat to run.
Knowing you guys so well give them any extra advantage?
Yeah, I understand the question. I think having coach here in the last year, obviously you share a lot of things to each other. You talk about different philosophies and those type of things, but I don't know that there's trade secrets, those type of things.
Having allowed a 50-yard rusher this season. As a play caller, what is the impact of getting a guy like Quinshawn going early on in the game?
It's a very, very good run defense, which is not a surprise. They're stout up front. They limit explosives. They don't let you get explosives in the run game. So you really just have to be on point. Explosives come in the run game when everybody does their job. You can't just go call the plays that try to get 50 yards. You got to make sure that everybody is had it up, doing their job, and then runners need to stay true to their reads.
Expected to practice today. Do you think he will be available to you on Sunday?
I'm hopeful, Mary Kay, but really going to be day to day. He's trending. He's doing well. No, out of protocol.
Tyson Campbell and the transition he's made. But I was wondering off the field, like what kind of maybe challenges that provides as you're trying to balance on the field. You also have to deal with move in and all that.
Yeah,
kind
I
of stuff.
think you need to get to know your teammates. You need to get to know. You spend a lot of time probably on Google Maps figuring out where to go. But he's handled all of it really, really well. Is a great kid. Like I told you guys when we traded for him, I had many people from their staff reach out to me and tell me what type of person this is. So he's doing a great job. But it is like anything else. It's a whirlwind, and you got to get to know your teammates.
Last week with Gabriel, going 13 for 18 and rainy conditions. How does he build upon that? How does the offense build upon that? It's the Patriots defense that's been from the quarterback passing on.
Yeah, I think with anything with young players, you're looking to build on both games and the work you get in practice. I think that's a big part of this too. So certainly that game last week was different for a multitude of reasons, but you continue in all facets, whether it's run game or pass game, just to build on all the work you're putting in.
He hasn't thrown an interception, obviously, in 3 games. Can a young quarterback sometimes be too cautious?
Well, we've talked about it over the years or weeks this season. You want to be smart, aggressive. You don't want to just be conservative for the sake of being conservative. So it's a balance there. And, we coach our quarterbacks to be aggressive when the time calls for it and let it rip. And then also understanding that taking care of the football is a big part of our job.
The takeaways this past week, what needs to happen for that to roll over into this week and to build on that?
Well, I think obviously, you score 21 points off of 4 takeaways. That's a great recipe for success. I think the big message for our defense, and I'm sure most defenses, is you do your job and you don't go looking for an interception, or you use your technique when you're tackling and the second guy in punches out. So doing your job, the ball, you'll be in position to make plays on the ball. And sometimes you have to wait for those opportunities to come, but you don't go outside the framework of your defense.
What's different about Josh McDaniels' offense from the Tom Brady years?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job with the young quarterback. Obviously, when you have a veteran quarterback that had been there for so long, I'm sure there were different things that they were getting into, and maybe it's a little bit more pre-snap type of things, but they're doing a very good job with this kid, and he's playing at a high level. He's, like I mentioned to you guys, he's operating, he's accurate, good on third down, and then just the ability to run is unique.
They're spreading the running game around. It's not just one, Stevenson or Henderson or May. Just, their running game. What's unique about it in terms of the balance it seems like they have with multiple rushers?
Yeah, I think they're just doing a good job, Chris, and their schemes change week to week. There's versatility in what they do, but at the end of the day, it's a very physical run outfit. But they're doing a good job mixing schemes.
For you to give Dillon a decent on-ramp to see what he can do over a number of games and not just judge everything too quickly with him?
I think that's just our focus week to week, Mary Kay, is what's in front of us, and with all of our young players, making sure that we're making constant improvement. That's on a daily basis, obviously on a weekly basis, but not thinking much past that.
That there's so many rookies around him, he's a rookie himself, and that this offense is a work in progress and might not be a well-oiled machine in week 1 or 2 of him?
I understand the question. I would just tell you our focus is just getting him up to speed, getting our younger players up to speed. But that's our job.
Yeah, Dillon Gabriel.
Work week at practice so that we can see constant improvement by those guys.
A lot of credit to the blocking techniques that were put in front of him. When you look at the offensive line and the changes that has gone through from injuries and all of that, does it feel like maybe over the weeks of dealing with that, they've kind of starting to gel together? Is that a part of what we saw, or is it?
That's certainly the hope, as you guys know, and if you can have all 5 play it for a bunch of time or an entire season, that's the ideal, of course, because it helps from a communication standpoint, that type of thing. But no different than talking to Mary Kay about constant improvement. It's for young players, but it's for all of our guys, and it's our guys when you're sometimes in and out of the lineup, making sure that when you do stabilize it, that you get the ability to get better weekly.
Was the backup, you said he was getting some number one reps. Is that true with Shedeur?
No. I mean, with a young quarterback with Dillon starting, you want to make sure he gets a lot of the reps. Different when you have
Do y'all hear that?
veteran like Joe, I would tell you, Tony. But
Did you hear that? Did you hear what he just said? Did you hear what he just said? Tony had said when Joe Flacco was the starting quarterback, Kevin Stefanski came out his mouth and said during that time that Dillon Gabriel was getting some of the first team and second team reps. But do you hear this fool Kevin Stefanski on what he said he's doing to Shedeur? Because he said with starting a young quarterback, it's important that the young quarterback gets all of the first team reps, not the backup. So the backup can't even get 5% of the first team reps. Do you hear this bull crap? Kevin Stefanski does not like Shedeur Sanders. Let me be very clear. He does not like Shedeur Sanders.
still getting reps in a bunch of periods. Out of the lineup, making sure that when you do stabilize it, that
listen to what Tony asks
the ability
Kevin
to
Stefanski.
get better weekly.
Was the backup, you said he was getting some number one reps. Is that true with Shedeur?
No. I mean, with a young quarterback with Dillon starting, you want to make sure he gets a lot of the reps. Different when you have a veteran like Joe, I would tell you, Tony. But still getting reps in a bunch of periods.
You guys kind of started, obviously, behind the eight ball in terms of record-wise. How do you maintain the focus on realizing that you have to stack wins?
Listen, man. Listen. Man, let me turn my focus in to 92.3 The Fan, Cleveland. And I want you to listen to what their dialogue and what they're saying about the narrative. Because see, what's happening and what's going to happen is that, see, Kevin Stefanski is seeing how Dillon Gabriel is playing like crap. And that's his guy. That's his son. And now what's going to happen is that they've been painting this narrative from the beginning about Shedeur Sanders, like Shedeur Sanders is not smart. Shedeur Sanders is not a leader of men. Shedeur Sanders can't get down the playbook. Shedeur Sanders is not sitting in the front of the room. Remember what Rex Ryan said on the Get Up? They're painting this negative narrative about Shedeur Sanders, which is total bullcrap. And you can't stop what's coming. Like Shedeur Sanders tweeted earlier this morning, you can't stop what God has for you. I don't give a damn what anybody says. You can't stop what God has for you. And they know Shedeur Sanders is going to bring the heat. He's going to continue to be legendary. He's going to be the accurate quarterback that he is. He's going to be very accurate, and he's going to bring in touchdowns by the dozens. And what Dillon Gabriel know what's about to happen, and Kevin Stefanski know. The owner of the Clevelands, Jimmy know. Andrew Berry knows. A lot of the people in media know. But listen to this narrative here on what they're about to say about Shedeur Sanders.
I did hear the morning show's take on that today, and I understand the central point they were making. I think we've all been a little too mid. That was the wrong word. We've all been a little too low-key on this quarterback room because we know that it's been bad, and I think it's stifled a lot of the conversations we should be having. And I think, I think we've just I think a lot of people in media have just checked out on Dillon Gabriel, and I don't think it's made our product any better. Like, I think we should be having spirited conversations about every one of these quarterbacks, no matter if we think they're going to be great or not, because I think the whole point is I don't think you should ever dip the bar below is who's starting a starting caliber quarterback. And if you've got one, well, that's a different conversation, right? If you've got a proven starting quarterback, different conversation. But if you're just looking to stabilize the position, that to me is what that conversation earlier today was about, and our Dillon dust up yesterday as well.
I mean, I think that's kind of what Dillon has shown you to be in many ways, and that's I don't know. The part that just befuddled me was the idea that, and maybe we just brought too many metrics into the equation, or maybe we brought too many different ways of looking at it, because there are different ways that one tells one story, one tells another story. But there's some context that I think is needed within that discussion. But I don't like any part of the idea that now I feel like I'm on some sort of Dillon Gabriel defense, which I've never been a part of to begin with anyway, and I also don't really want to be a part of to begin with. Like, he's a backup quarterback. I want to see Shedeur Sanders play football. Ultimately, that's my end goal, but I don't know. I didn't think he was a problem in a 25-point win. That's my end point there.
So, with that being said, you have been on, when it comes to Shedeur, that there's going to be a time where the narrative starts to change on Shedeur,
and you'll see it. You'll see it piece by piece and week by week, and it's gonna like temperature rising in an oven. It's just gonna keep rising and rising and rising. And this is where I thought Mary Kay is speaking exactly to what we've kind of seen in the past couple weeks, grow and grow and grow, and now it's hitting a boiling point.
And here was Mary Kay earlier today on this very station talking about Shedeur Sanders' development in elite accuracy.
I think his development has gone really, really well behind the scenes. That is what I'm hearing with the people that I've talked to.
Listen, guys. I'm going to get right back into it, but be patient with me. See, this is the BS that I'm talking about. Shedeur Sanders didn't magically change overnight. Shedeur Sanders is still the same guy. He has the same accurate arm, the same strong arm, the same brain of intelligence to know how to be an NFL quarterback and be a leader of men. Nothing hasn't changed. But you know what has changed? Is that when Dillon Gabriel has been quarterback one and they are seeing it on full display how garbage Dillon Gabriel is and how he can't even score touchdowns in the red zone and put up 7 points for his team. So now they're changing their tune because they have finally see on full display giving this man so many opportunities, but he's hot garbage. Now they want to change the narrative like, oh, this was all part of the plan. We had to get Shedeur to a place where he's prepared to be a quarterback so they can be on the positive side of things. Nuh-uh. Keep that same darn energy, because none of them, starting with the head coach, even starting with the owner, he even came out his own mouth. He didn't have nothing to do with drafting Shedeur. It's BS.
Doing a really, really nice job. He's making progress in every way, including in all of those ways that they really needed him to, just in terms of being able to get the play articulated. He's really coming along. And the thing about Shedeur, I've written this so many times, I've said it so many times, but he has elite accuracy. And that's the place where I think he has
always
Dillon
had
beat,
elite accuracy.
is in the accuracy piece. But you have to be able to get to that point where you have time to throw that ball and you're getting it out fast enough so that you can get it there on time and all those kinds of things. But in a 7-on-7 drill, if you put those two up next to each other and you just started doing a red zone 7-on-7, I think Shedeur would win that drill most of the time. But that doesn't mean that he would be the better choice at quarterback right at this moment.
I don't think it is a coincidence that Dillon has been as unremarkable as I think he has been, or as fine, or whatever the different synonyms we can use for this. I don't think it's a coincidence through 3 games he's been pretty unremarkable, and we're starting to hear some of the development that the Browns are telling the local
right. This
reporters.
has been
that
my whole point the entire time was that this was always going to happen this way, and we started to see it 2 weeks ago, and now we're seeing it last week, and now you're seeing it again today. The idea that once you start to see who Dillon Gabriel is, and they start to see who Dillon Gabriel is, they're gonna try to take some credit for Shedeur Sanders. This is it. This is their saving grace. Is the idea that they're gonna try to make it seem as if Shedeur was not even close to ready previously, and now all of a sudden, voila, he's ready. And I'm telling you guys, nothing's changed with Shedeur Sanders. Nothing's changed with him relative to where he was before the season got underway. I'm sure Stefanski's doing some time and some work with him, but there's no drastic leap that's happened. He's always been better than Dillon. He remains better than Dillon, and now we're just counting out the time until the Browns actually put him out there.
Did y'all hear that?
Bruh.
Now this white dude is spitting nothing but facts. This white dude right here to the left without the hat is spitting nothing but facts. And I totally agree with what he's saying. I've been saying this. They know what's coming. Shedeur Sanders is going to light things up. I'm trying to tell y'all. Shedeur, there's going to be sold out crowds coming. People going to be traveling from everywhere to see Shedeur Sanders. Even the opposing teams. So many people know what's about to happen. Shedeur Sanders ain't no scrub. His dad taught him for this moment. Has been teaching him for this moment ever since he was a little kid. You don't think that this young man is not ready for this moment?
So I thought it was interesting that coming off of Sunday's game, I mean, we had folks in the Shedeur Sanders hive. They had isolated one moment where Dillon Gabriel was coming off the field, and Kevin Stefanski smiled at him.
Yeah,
and they pointed and said, "This is why Shedeur is never going to get a chance."
Maybe just Stefanski was happy he was winning a game.
And I also, by a considerable margin against a team that I think
hadn't had that happen in a while.
I think Kevin knew he was that
he knew he needed
the
that
Dolphins
one.
were cooked.
He knew
he
needed that one.
But like, I think we're probably closer to Shedeur playing than even I thought. Like. Meaning,
I still don't know that. I still don't know that. I hope you're right. They still have to pull the trigger there, and they seem so hesitant to do it.
Where do we get that? Because it's only been 3 weeks of Dillon.
From the impression I get is what I'm getting.
Okay,
It's not as if I'm not like talking to Kevin and I'm like, oh, Kevin told me the impression I'm getting is that because if they take Dillon and he goes this week and then. Let's just say it doesn't work out, and then they put Shedeur in there. And I think Shedeur is going to be good. I need to make that abundantly clear. But if Shedeur isn't good, then what are we doing? We're just going like every 4 weeks, we just have a new quarterback. Meanwhile, you've gone through the 3rd round pick and the 5th round pick, and you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference would be you are going back to young players who can get better just by practicing and just throughout the duration of the season.
But that's, I think, what they'd argue for Dillon on Dillon's behalf there.
No, but I think my point is, like, if 4 games in, we know what we have of Dillon. Now we're going to go to Shedeur because we're still competitive. I don't love this idea that there are certain people who've resigned themselves to, we're not going to see Shedeur until the Browns aren't being competitive, because then you're not giving Shedeur an authentic chance to do anything.
I totally agree with what he's saying. See, this is what I've been saying. What Kevin Stefanski, listen, guys, what he is trying to do is he's trying to not put Shedeur Sanders in because he knows what Shedeur Sanders can do. He is afraid of Shedeur Sanders' talent and how it's going to make him look bad. But you can't stop the exposure that's about to happen to Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski is about to get fired. What he is doing is malpractice as a head coach of a football team. He is literally blocking Shedeur Sanders from getting his opportunity as much as he can. He wouldn't even care if their team start losing Of course, he cares because he doesn't want to get fired mid-season. But what he is trying to do is trying to wait till it's too late. And God forbid the players start tuning out and start quitting. But Kevin Stefanski does not want Shedeur on the field because he knows he's going to outshine Dillon Gabriel, his son.
Interesting. If he does something, it'll be in spite of the situation you put in.
I agree. That's what makes people like myself so mad about the horror deal. Is that if it goes down that way, where you're putting them in games where it doesn't even matter if they win, and in fact the front office would prefer that they lose for draft position, you're not setting him up in any sort of way to have success. Yes, that makes people like myself angry.
Well, but that's why, like, I do understand that Dillon getting the win yesterday, some people says, well, he just extended his leash. I think wrong. Winning is important. And if you get a win this next week against New England that you cannot pick apart, that I do think extends his leash a little bit longer. But if he plays the way he did the first 3 games and you're not seeing definitive improvement in the offense, right? If you're scoring 31 points, but that's because you got 7 from the defense and the other 2 times you got the choicest of all potential field position, I don't think Kevin had, like, I think he's got 3 games left from right now if he plays the way he did the first.
Let me tell you something. Anytime a team has to go to the Wildcat when they get in the red zone, that's letting you know right there that Kevin Stefanski knows that he doesn't have a quarterback that can score a touchdown on that field. He knows that Dillon Gabriel doesn't have the talent to lead his team to a touchdown down the field. He understands that. Here's the reason why he went Wildcat several times. So let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to lose against the Patriots, and it's going to have a bye week. Now, I'm going to tell you what should happen. They should be prepping Shedeur Sanders up to play against the New York Jets on November 9th. Because after the Patriots on October the 26th, on Sunday, they have 2 weeks. That 2 weeks should be given to Shedeur Sanders to get prepared to play against the New York Jets. That's a perfect opportunity for Shedeur Sanders to get in a rhythm, to have a nice game plan for him, because he can't have the same game plan as Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel's offensive sets is pure garbage because he can't throw down the field. He has a weak-ass arm. You're going to have to make good plays because Shedeur Sanders is going to be a threat. And I'm going to tell you something. You can try to draw up those bull behind plays if you want to that you've been doing for Dillon Gabriel with those digs. Don't think Shedeur Sanders will call an audible and change plays and get the ball to his wide receivers or to his tight ends. Don't think he won't call and change those plays. Shedeur Sanders is a competitor, and he wants to win, and he wants to shine while he's winning, just like his dad did, Coach Primetime Deion Sanders.
First 3 games of the season. Now, if they go 2-1, that might change the situation, but just based off his play, I can't see extending this out more than 3 games after it if it looks closer to or if it looks exactly like the first 3
games seems fair to me. I mean, when we first were talking about it, you'd mentioned next week, though, after next week being the end, and that's where I was like, I just don't know that that's happening. But 3 weeks from now, you tell me if they go on you got to lose a game that you're supposed to win. That, I think, will be the one that Stefanski looks at and says, "Oh no, we have a real problem on our hands." You're not expected to win. You're not expected to win the Patriots game. You lose the Patriots game, and then you lose to the winless Jets. Then yes, I think that will be enough to sound the alarm, and everyone says, "Okay, let's just finally put Shedeur in." But I cannot stress enough the point that with more struggling that you see, or really from a 3-game sample size with Dillon that they're less than impressed with, the more chatter you're going to hear about Shedeur Sanders all of a sudden overcoming all these made-up obstacles that they put in his way. And I just think it's such a farce, and it just feels so wrong that they're able to do this and get away with it on a fundamental level. It just feels it just feels like someone.
I mean, every NFL team does this.
I know, I know, but it feels like dragging Shedeur through the idea that for his reputation and his name, for months on end, people thought he can't play the position. And they told enough people behind the scenes, and you know this firsthand, Nick, they told enough people behind the scenes that he was so far behind, laughably far behind, and all these other things, just so they could make themselves look good in the end of it. And that's all they're trying to do. Oh, we fixed Shedeur. We got him to a spot where we could play him, and thank goodness we did just in the nick of time. And I just think it's wrong. I think it's wrong to besmirch his name that way, and I think it's wrong to go ahead and drag his name through the mud that way when he did.
There you go. Man, that dude preaching. That dude preaching. That dude is straight up preaching and telling the God heaven truth. Let me tell y'all something, man. You can't stop what's coming. Shedeur Sanders is here. He's on the team, whether you like it or not, and he will get his opportunity, just like his dad said. All he has to do is just be ready, which I have no doubt Shedeur Sanders is going to be ready. No doubt, not even a little bit of a doubt. Shedeur Sanders is going to show the world why he's legendary. And don't come to me. I don't want to hear that BS talking about he needs to be humble. If Jackson Dart can get his ass up on the field and doing all those dance moves and showboating and everything, which I do not have a problem with, keep that same energy for Shedeur Sanders. Do the flip of the wrist. Do whatever you want to do to celebrate your accomplishments, because it's coming, period. I appreciate everyone, man. Y'all let me know in the comment section, how do y'all feel about this situation with Shedeur Sanders, and knowing that Kevin Stefanski said in his press conference today, even though Kevin Stefanski said earlier when Joe Flacco was on the team, is that Dillon Gabriel was getting the first team reps as the backup quarterback to Joe Flacco. Remember when Joe Flacco struggled earlier with the Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski took out Joe Flacco and put in Dillon Gabriel in the middle of the game, because he knew that he groomed Dillon Gabriel to be prepared to be the starting quarterback, and him getting all the reps for the first team. Now that Shedeur Sanders is the backup, Kevin Stefanski said today that he does not give Shedeur Sanders no first team reps. That is that is crazy. How can you not give your backup quarterback first team reps? If anything was to happen to Dillon Gabriel, then you want to just throw Shedeur Sanders out there cold turkey, which I have no doubt he'll still shine. But you don't want to prepare Shedeur Sanders. That says a lot about that damn head coach. He's an asshole. He's a clown. And it's only a matter of time where karma is going to be coming for Kevin Stefanski. You already know my motto, man. Y'all be safe out there and keep your head on the swivel. See you on the next live episode on Sports Talk HQ.
That's Kodak. Killing these niggas, you know that.